My name is Choi. I'm from Los Angeles Southwest College, and today I'll be presenting on the LED End User Survey. So I just wanted to introduce you guys to what Green Campus is for those of you that don't know. Green Campus is a program funded by utilities and district, and it's a branch of Alliance to Save Energy that hires a set of interns on different campuses to bring on energy and water saving projects. This was a pilot year for the LACCD campuses, and this program has provided valuable training for those looking to go into the green workforce industry. For our campus, the program was, the first set of interns were actually hired back in October of '09, and stakeholders were selected with the help of the president of the college, and the first stakeholder meeting was held in November. LASC Green Campus interns have estimated to have reached about 500 students with about 50 volunteers or those interested in volunteering. So this is our team. We have Joe Martinez, who's the team manager, myself, the treasurer, and Kathy Hong and Sonia Fulgham. They kind of alternate doing PR and secretary duties. So some of the projects, there's actually some examples of the project going around. There's a hit the switch sticker. I don't know if some of you guys received that, but we basically just put that on the switches around campus to remind people and bring on behavioral changes. Just hit the switch if you're leaving the room. We also came with the Green LASC fact sheet because we have all these different green initiatives going on campus and different entities that are taking measures to make the campus more green, and the students were getting a little bit confused with our Green Campus, and then we have a club on campus, and then sustainable work. So we kind of just try to outline things for the students there. And there's an example of that sheet going around as well. We also did the Take the Stairs Day in honor of Earth Day, and we also had a Green Workforce job posting in collaboration with the Career Services Department. We also did a lab IT project where we worked to reconfigure some of the computers in the labs for them to be shut down at the end of the day and then rebooted in the beginning. And finally, the project I'm going to be talking about today is the LED End User Survey. So the LED End User Survey project was given to us in a sense by the LA Community College District Energy team, and with the input of the lighting manufacturer C-Smart, they designed certain classrooms to act as pilot LED lighting test sites for different proposed LED technologies. So there are two major types of setups that were used. One was the LED direct lighting system, and the other was the LED indirect lighting system. So as Green Campus interns, our job was to go around to create a survey first of all, and then to distribute, collect, and analyze the data that we received, and see how people reacted to the new technologies. The project took about 1 month. A week was spent on just putting together the survey and just finding a way to accurately capture the user feedback. Then the survey was sent back to the district energy team, and they approved it, finalized it, etc., and then we printed it. And then the next 2 weeks were just spent on going and visiting the classrooms, distributing the survey, and then collecting it. So these are some of the logistics. If you can see, the darker blue or purplish area is the indirect lighting, and then the red area was the direct lighting. And then this is also another set of classrooms that were direct lighting. So it's a total of 4 classrooms. And this is just how we kind of distributed the classrooms evenly out. We just made this table so it was clear to the interns which classrooms they were supposed to visit at what time. And this is the report we sent back to the district energy team. They just had questions about how will a survey take place, when will it take place, which rooms, how many people would be estimated to have reached, and any barriers that we saw. And then we just addressed those barriers. So the main goal of this project was just to gather qualitative data to assess before resources are spent on installing LED lights in multiple rooms on campus. They have the ability to do the quantitative work, but getting qualitative data is something that nobody ever really does before installing these technologies. So we were, as interns, asked to go around and gather this qualitative data. So the assessment basically decreases the possibility of complaints and reinstalling costs that may be associated with installing technologies. And this project just secured support and raised awareness of LED technologies which produce significant energy savings. So this is kind of just looking at what we kind of expected and then what actually happened. We expected to collect feedback from about 650 users, but was only able to get feedback from about 32 users. We ran into some barriers that we did not predict ahead of time. What happened was we were supposed to go and visit 4 different classrooms, but only one was able to be used at that time. They had some heating AC issues, and they had to close off 2 of the test rooms. So we're going to be visiting those classes once they open up again. So this is just an example of the sample population. The district kind of wanted to get a feel of if there were any correlations with gender or age breakdowns. So if you can see, that's the general age breakdown. And this is just the example of the questions that were on the survey. And the comfort level was just asked on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all comfortable and 10 being very comfortable. Some of the questions asked were physical appearance, compatibility with equipment, amount of heat it emits, the color or hue, lighting effects on your eyes, and the brightness. And on average, people gave a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as comfort level goes. We also asked what activity do you personally do majority of the times in this room, and people just marked all that applied to them. And as you can see, there were look at PowerPoint presentation, read notes written on the board, read out of a textbook, listen to the instructor, take notes, and then we kind of left an open-ended one that said other, and people just filled it in. And they filled it in with lecture, discussion, and questions. So majority of the time, people were listening to the instructors in those classrooms. We also had a section for instructor-only questions. In this case, we only had 2 instructors. But the questions were, how well does the lighting in the room fit your teaching style, and how comfortable are you with the switch options? It averaged to about a 6 comfort level on a scale of 1 to 10. And we also asked what their lecture style was to see if that influenced, the lighting influenced those at all. And both professors said writing notes on the board, and then each one expressed that they also do lectures verbally, and the other just does it discussion style. We also left an open-ended question about any additional comments regarding lighting, and this was some of the feedback, and generally speaking, it's pretty positive feedback with a few suggestions. So, talking about some of the challenges and successes, one of the main challenges was getting responses from department chairs to send out emails to instructors about our visit to their classrooms, because we were, in a sense, interrupting their class. But the department chairs were very slow to get back to us, or they just didn't ever get back to us. So we found that if we just visit the classes before it starts and just ask the instructor nicely, most of the time they'll be perfectly fine with us doing a survey. It only took about 4 to 5 minutes. 2 of the sample classrooms were closed, as I mentioned before, and classes were moved to other classes due to AC and heating, so those test classrooms weren't able to be used to collect data from. That's something we couldn't foresee, it just happened. And those classes that were left to visit had minimal attendance. There was one class that only had about 4 students in there. So the sample size kind of decreased on our way because of these unexpected barriers. But on the bright side, the accomplishments. The project kind of shed light on the constraints and barriers of such data collecting on a community college campus. The small campus size, minimal attendance in certain classes, and closed test classrooms kind of resulted in some smaller sample sizes than we expected. But it did shed light on the restrictions that this project might have on our campus and some barriers that other campuses might face if they do decide to replicate. The assessment also promotes a healthy campus environment that not only educates its students and staff about the energy-saving efforts, but the value the campus puts on their comfort and opinions by getting their feedback first before putting in these new technologies. So some of the lessons we learned: just make sure that all test classrooms will remain open and available during the survey period. Make sure sample size is guaranteed by choosing classes with higher enrollment numbers and using those classrooms as test classrooms. This project would probably work better on a larger campus because larger sample size would probably equal more data. And just that communication is an essential part of working with different teams. Just communicate well with facilities, to make sure that those classrooms that we're using are to remain available and open for us to collect sample from. Just communicating well back to the district energy team, letting them know the barriers as soon as we came across them, and just asking for feedback and suggestions. And of course, communicating well with your teammates about which classes are being visited, which have not, things like that. So for us, the next steps, we hope to further collect the data in those rooms that were closed during the survey period. Once they open up again in the summer, we'll be collaborating further with the district energy team to figure out the best way to approach some of the barriers that we ran into. And we'll be meeting with the district energy team to turn in the data we've collected and then discussing further steps with them once we get back after this conference. So just some of the acknowledgements. Want to thank the LACCD District Energy team for giving us the opportunity to do this project. In particular, Russell Bear and Andrew Hoffman were our key people that we reported back to. And of course, want to thank fellow interns, Green Campus interns. I see Joel, Sonia, Kathy's not here, but. And then of course, last but not least, Ellie Kim, our awesome project program lead. So thank you very much.